Canada's Ultimate Challenge. We're down to so here's the thing. When you watch the finale this week, because the new episode's always out on CBC Gem on Sundays, you're going to see a team missing if you missed last week's episode. Bit of a twist. There was a wild card team, and it was made up of players from teams that had been eliminated, and they promptly came in and eliminated the orange team.
What do I think of paddling strategy? That's a great question.
It's a paddling competition.
Nobody asked.
I'm really glad you asked me about that. The team that was in sync and rowing as a boat, as a single squad, they had the advantage.
It's true.
I'm glad
I would have been so upset if I was orange, because having that wild card team come in there and just, you get to go to the finals after you were already out of the competition, like that's insane.
You guys got to go home and hang out with your families and eat food and not sleep on a cot or whatever.
Probably not home, probably just to the hotel.
Yeah,
where like shooting or whatever. You keep them close, but yeah, that's annoying.
That's annoying. So for the finale, it's going to be Team Blue.
Yeah,
it's going to be Team Red. And it's going to be Team White, the wildcard team.
Yes.
Sorry, Team Orange. You worked really hard. Goodbye.
Could you imagine if the Leafs got to come back to the playoffs after they got eliminated?
And got eliminated again?
What happened. And then they get to compete, and then they won, and then they got to go to the finals?
Listen, the way that some people believe the game is covered, that's already happened. There's a lot of fans with conspiracy theories out there who are like, yeah, the Leafs already do get all the preferential treatment.
No.
So,
It's true.
Anyway, listen.
Well,
Canada's ultimate... Sorry, what?
The proof is in the pudding.
Canada's Ultimate Challenge. It's total strangers, formidable teams, 16 jaw-dropping challenges, and all of them, honestly, we all sit in this room and go, oh my God. Completely, I couldn't do it.
In paddles,
absolutely. So check it out on CBC Gem right now, and let's start the show.
The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake. Let's go!
Aaron Ekblad, first overall. Sam Reinhart, second overall. Leon Draisaitl, third overall. Sam Bennett, fourth overall. What draft year?
2014.
And they're all in the Stanley Cup Finals.
All of them. Three of them on the same team. No, that's psychotic.
That's kind of cool.
That's kind of absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And that's I'm going back through the 2014 draft. It's a doozy.
It's something.
It's a good draft. Real good draft. A lot of good players in that one. Big wins for both the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers this weekend. I think we should start with we'll do it in sequential order. So we're going to start with Saturday night. We're going to start with the Florida Panthers and the New York Rangers. And my wife looked at me on Saturday night while we were watching Steve's stream as well. And she said, man, New York feels really leafy right now. And I said, oh, you mean outmatched? And she said, oh, that must be what it is.
Completely. And bless Shesterkin. Just bless him. The Carolina series felt like, maybe it's a bit of a one-off. Maybe the Hurricanes, there's something wrong with the way they're doing this, right? Like they're getting goalied again. Shesterkin and the Rangers were outshot in 13 of the 16 games they played.
Yeah, but that's how they play.
Is that a strategy though?
Yeah, because a lot, if you watch the Carolina series, all of those shots were from the outside. They were such low danger shots. And the Rangers were playing ahead. You know this, score effects.
Yes.
The Carolina Hurricanes are going to have more shots on goal when the Rangers are comfortable with allowing all of those. Plus, they're ahead most of the game, so the Hurricanes are going to get more shots.
Yeah, Washington, whatever.
Yeah, Hurricanes, it's circumstantial, I find, the people jumping on them about the shots on goal.
But boy, the Panthers just outmatched them. They more than any team in recent memory have instilled in me that defense is a team concept, right? They turn. It's not just they get stops. And by stops, I don't mean saves. I mean stops. Someone stops the other team in their tracks. They turn every stop into offense. It's crazy and it's exhausting. And the Rangers look defeated and exhausted, and I was talking about their body language. Maybe they were just sucking wind out their ass. They were dead. The Panthers were the better team, way better team. I don't know why that was controversial.
Sucking wind out of their ass?
Sucking wind out of their
sucking farts?
I combined sucking wind with breathing out of their ass, and I said sucking wind out of their ass.
It's just aggressive,
which
man.
is not
really aggressive.
how you do it.
No, I don't think it is. I think that
Yeah, it's like Leonardo DiCaprio, Wolf of Wall Street. There's a scene.
The Rangers were in the conference final. They were the second best team in the Eastern Conference. I think when we're re-ranking everything, the power rankings, I think those are the two best teams. It's just Florida is a step better than them. If you look at how Montour and Mikkola played, like the M&M line is one of the best pairings in all of hockey.
And then there's Ekblad Forsling.
And then like the whole decor, I feel like that's where it's really lost on for the Rangers. Like you needed to be a step better with your entire D, and they didn't have it. Like I feel like Gustafsson wasn't up to the task. Trouba definitely wasn't up to the task.
On Trouba, can we I just sent you a video, and I want to bring this up because there's a lot of, it was honestly the first real time I've seen Rangers fans turn on Trouba, but like for real.
Okay.
Because he's, the winner of the Mark Messier Award. He's the captain. On goal number 1, he goes for a skate. Now, this is something that has been building the entire playoffs because Trouba and K-Andre Miller, I don't know what their futures are with the team, and I'm sure that they are bright, but they can't play together. And Trouba especially, it's hard to understand what he's doing on the first goal that the Florida Panthers allow, which largely, I believe, falls to him because he hangs Shesterkin out to dry. So I don't know if we can...
He goes for
if we can screen grab our way through this one.
Sure.
But here we go. There's the... You see the puck that's on the Florida Panthers player's skate.
We're good.
Look, Trouba's in a great position.
We're good. Everything's going to be fine.
Keep going.
We're good.
We're good.
We're good. We're no longer good.
Okay, now. Why does Jake Trouba go for the non-puck carrier to hit him?
Well, it's like he plays it like a 2-on-1. Like, I got to pick someone. That's not what it is, Jake.
Just angle him off. Look, it's like he thinks that there's a pass, and the pass isn't even faked, by the way. It's at the blue line. So this player is not going to pass until he gets across the blue line.
Force Bennett to pass to, who's that on the outside? Reinhardt? Force the pass to the outside. Try to drive the guy. I don't understand what he's doing. I don't understand what Eric Gustafsson's got it. Like
that's Evan Rodriguez on the outside, by the way.
I didn't think it looked like Reinhardt. So yeah, you got Bennett obviously driving the middle, which you don't want.
So, but you're Drake Trouba, you can stop anybody, right?
I mean, yeah, including yourself, which he did here. And here's the worst part. Like, okay, pick a guy. Even if you pick the wrong guy, at least you picked a guy. No, they both got by him. Like, no,
it wasn't like he stopped Rodriguez.
No, like, no, it's just really bad. Can I say something though?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a bit of a cop-out focusing too much on Trouba.
On the best defenseman on the team? Well, not the best defenseman, the captain, the Mark Messier Award winner.
Listen, he was terrible. He was terrible.
Not the best defenseman on the team.
He was a liability in the series. He wasn't good. So I will say that. Who wasn't outmatched?
Yeah, I think that's a large part of the issue is that the defense of the Florida Panthers is just extremely better than the New York Rangers. And I think it starts with the forward group. I think Sasha Barkov, his ability, they had the stat about him facing Artemi Panarin there on the ice together for 23 minutes.
I got it in front of me.
Yeah, you can read that if you want.
So this is a preposterous stat from, I believe it was the Sportsnet broadcast. Mm-hmm. Sasha Barkov in 27 minutes and 21 seconds of 5-on-5 ice time against Nikita Kucherov. Kucherov had 0 goals. In 35 minutes and 37 seconds, dude, Paul Maurice had Jim Montgomery in hell. In 35 minutes and 37 seconds of 5-on-5 ice time against David Pastrnak, Pastrnak had 1 goal. In 23 minutes and 9 seconds of ice time, 5-on-5 against Artemi Panarin, 0 goals.
So you look at people are ragging on Panarin for getting shut down, but you got to look at what's on the other end of the ice. You're talking about the best defensive center in the game right now that Bergeron's retired, So Sasha Barkov and his ability to shut down Panarin and the Rangers, it's not that the Rangers are a bad team or that they don't have it. It's just the other team is better. And the way Florida plays, it just plays right into the hand of how they want to shut down the Rangers.
The reason I want to highlight that play, though, and the reason I brought it up is because when you are overmatched, and they were, you could still win.
Yes.
Look at the Oilers last night. Overmatched, still won.
That was preposterous, and we'll get into
it. And there's more to that than just the shot counter. But the Rangers were overmatched all series. They still won a couple games, right?
Yep.
It's decision making though in key moments.
Yes.
And those two, and I specifically highlight Keandre Miller and Jake Trouba, overmatched and bad decision making.
Yeah, if you're looking at upgrades on the roster, it needs to start from the back end. Like, Trouba's got to be your third pairing.
How is that even possible?
He's making $8 million, which sucks, but it's only for one more year, I believe, after this one. So that's okay. But you need to upgrade on the defense.
30. What happened?
It's Monday, so is Locker cleanup today for the Rangers?
I have no idea.
I gotta know.
He's got to be hurt.
Who's busted up how?
No,
Trocheck was unstoppable until he was aggressively stoppable.
Like, I don't think Jake Trouba isn't like prime Jake Trouba anymore.
No, but this is pretty who's okay out of the final four teams in terms of marquee defensemen? Who was worse?
Who's worse?
Yeah,
like
a noticeable
on the Panthers, on the Rangers, on the Oilers, on the Stars.
Darnell Nurse.
They won, though.
They did win.
Nurse, at some point, and we'll get into this, was like, fine, I'll just hit everyone.
And it was great.
And everyone's like, that's a decision. That's an identity. Yeah, go with that.
Yeah.
Go with that. And he just started getting 11 hits a game.
Now, it could be, like you said, that Jake Trouba is banged up and he comes back, roaring back next year.
Sure, but I think you were on the right path of thinking there about decision making.
Yes.
I don't think that has nothing to do with an injury. Blowing by someone and making that play, going for elbows whenever you can, regardless of where the play is. All of that's a mental thing and your hockey sense. I don't think that's that's an injury. You got an Achilles hurt or something.
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, and then I think he realizes halfway through because he goes to play the body and then he's like, no, and he just sort of goes into them like a plastic bag in the wind and with no intensity, and they both blow by him.
The other thing that I think the Panthers did really well, and they showed some highlight packs of this, is they got into Shesterkin's head as much as they could.
Yeah.
And well, in the sense that that doesn't mean that he blew it or was bad or anything, but you saw him towards the end of the series starting to hit back at guys.
Yeah.
Starting to punch back at guys, and rightfully so, man. The Oilers.
Well, his guys weren't going to do it.
The Panthers accidentally, on purpose, fell on Shesterkin so many times, and I hope Stuart Skinner's ready, because that's exactly what the Panthers are going to do to him. If you think Shesterkin held it together, man. Skinner's gonna get some bruises. And the Panthers did it really well. And what makes them masterful at it, and I was having some arguments on my stream last night with Boston Bruins fans, is they took the Boston Bruins playbook and they improved on it. They got more vicious, but what they're great at is not getting called for it. They're really, really smart about not getting the calls.
And also, I really didn't feel like that series was violent at all. The first couple games had some ridiculous open ice hits, but it's like I was talking about with that there was another series, I can't remember which one it was, but what did the Panthers need to get involved in all that for? I feel like that's the sort of thing that you do when you're trying to throw the other team off. No, I think the Panthers wanted to keep the Rangers on. You keep doing what you're
keep playing this way.
Keep playing this very, very shitty way. And we will keep patting you on the bottom and sending
Igor's
merry way.
Igor's a lot of the reason, the main reason that they're even in that game on.
Yeah.
But with the Rangers, I honestly think they're probably 3 pieces away from being more in a series like this, because if you look at Gustafson's going to be a UFA, so probably move off of that.
I didn't think he was bad.
Yeah, but I think you need to upgrade on the D.
You can do better?
Schneider's going to be better. He's 22.
I would really like that player. I really
an
like
RFA.
him.
He's 22 years old. He's only getting better.
like
And then you look at Lindgren, who's 26, RFA. Probably going to get a little better, but like maybe you can upgrade in that position as well.
I'm interested to hear what he's got at locker cleanup.
Mhm.
Holy fuck, that guy was like Super Dave. Like he just got his ass kicked.
Not great. Truba needs to play a lesser position next year.
Yeah.
Like you draw, he's your third pairing D.
Yeah.
Like you got to commit to that. You're the captain. I get it, but you need to commit to that or buy him out. I don't know what that looks like. And then Keandre Miller's 24, so he's also going to get better. And then on your forward group, they should have went out and got Gensel. Like Wenberg up on the first line was such a desperation move by Laviolette. It was like at this point in the series,
bad.
yeah, it was okay, but like that's your move in Game 6, season on the line. Wenberg to the first line. I'm like, okay, so we're out of answers here. Like this isn't working. So I don't know. They need that wing spot there to improve. Like Gensel would have been awesome to have on this roster.
How close did they come to getting Gensel? Did they?
I don't think they ever went. They didn't go for
They didn't go for him?
No,
Okay.
No. But so I think they're a couple pieces away and they're going to be in it next year. Like it's very positive. You're going to be right back here in the same position next year and maybe you can get over the hump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And you might push it to 7 and have the Panthers beat you next year.
hey.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I think there's lots of incentive for the Rangers to have a very like busy, aggressive offseason. Like you have a lot of guys who are like back half of prime / entering the back nine.
Mhm.
Like you got to compete now.
Yep.
Now. And I'm not talking about trading a guy like Braden Schneider, but you gotta dig a little deep here. You're not going to have a window like this for very long.
Yes.
And they got a great one. Dude, 2 conference finals in 3 years. You won the President's Trophy. You have a few like career playoff performers who were kind of shut down in this series. Everyone was shut down. Like, like when I was doing the streams, I'm like, man, this guy's not having a good series. This guy's not having a good series. This guy's not. Oh, okay. The Rangers are just not having a very
Yeah.
like in terms of
everybody.
in terms of guys who like visually looked good to me. I like Braden Schneider. I liked Adam Fox, although I was a bit disappointed. Ryan Lindgren was okay. Mika Zibanejad, I thought, looked pretty good. Alexis Lafreniere looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm done. It's not a long list.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and it's
Igor,
and Igor. I mean, yeah, he's
best goalie in the world.
he's the free space, and so I'm sitting there going, oh man, the Rangers, they could have lost. Final Four.
Yeah.
The President's Trophy winner, and they made it to 6 wins away from the Cup, which is a lot closer than most teams got.
And you lost to what I think right now on paper, you look at the Florida Panthers and you say they're probably the best team in hockey. That's who you lost to.
I agree. And I hate saying that because I bet against the Oilers in the Stars series and they overcame that. Shit, the Panthers look unreal.
They do.
They look unreal.
Yep. They do.
Yeah.
They do.
And it's a team thing. And they have so many different lines they can go to. They had the better fourth line at the beginning of the series, and then Paul Maurice went, nah, and he completely redid it, and it was even better. They're just having fun out there. Those guys are just having fun, and that's terrifying.
The Wenberg deal that they did at the deadline, by the way, cost the Rangers a second to Seattle and a conditional 4th. The conditions, if Seattle will receive Dallas's 4th, so they did get Dallas's 4th, so a second and a 4th for Wenberg.
Did you see which team performed the worst in the playoffs this year?
The Calgary Flames.
Calgary Flames.
Do you want me to read the tweet from the win column?
Do it.
What it's like being a Flames fan. Watch Tkachuk and Bennett lead the Panthers to the Stanley Cup Final. Watch the Edmonton Oilers make it to the Stanley Cup Final. Have all 3 conditional picks fail to meet conditions during the playoffs. Definition of pain.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those, I think, was failure to upgrade, but then 2 of them were they just lost the pick.
The first response, by the way, from somebody who's a Flames fan, CPM Dave or CMP Dave, we're going off the board at the draft in a couple weeks too. Just going to be a great way to bookend this little stream we're on.
Oh, they need a Ginla. I don't care what it takes.
Get
draft
a Ginla.
Tig.
Get a Ginla.
Yeah.
That's got to be your first round pick. You need whatever you have to move, do it.
Yep.
That'll fix your entire franchise.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if that's the best pick.
No, it doesn't
Do it.
at all.
Give me
Because
the feels.
If they don't draft Tig Ginla, Tig's going to go to some other team and then burn the Calgary Flames from now until oblivion.
I'll be honest with you.
It's gonna the Oilers.
I hope that they don't get him because I don't think that would be best for Tig, given where the Calgary Flames are at right now and how they're developing people and how they've managed that organization. They're a poorly run organization right now. They are. And they are. Look what Zadorov did in the playoffs. Look what they got for Zadorov. They could have got more. They got a third and a fifth, guys.
And I think they lost the fifth.
And they lost the first. No way.
We gotta. I can't remember.
They lose that fifth.
They had the Flames.
Come on,
had
the
so
Leafs
many
would have
damn
given them
balls.
more, but they're like, no, we don't like Brad, so we won't do it.
Okay,
And
so
that's fucking awesome.
we don't know that that's 100%.
It's
true.
100% true. Dan Milstein tweeted that Zadorov was a Leaf. Come on.
He did. That's weird, right?
By the way, but people were like, oh no, his English is, no, he tweeted that Zadorov was a Leaf.
Milstein's isn't.
Huh?
Milstein's English isn't.
Well, people were saying, well, he's he deals with Russians all the time, or he doesn't get the.
Stop. That's unfathomable, Cope.
Okay.
What are we doing here? I've interviewed him. You'll never guess which language the interview was in.
English, I'm assuming.
Like, what are you talking about? No, that's an NHLPA agent. What are you talking about?
What do
A
we got?
third and a fifth.
Guys.
Third and a
For
fifth.
Zadorov.
Which
Guys, tell me I'm wrong. Flames fans, get in my DMs. Tell me I'm wrong. The best.
I don't think they're gonna.
They're not. And it sucks because they really do have a lot of talent on the roster. It's still weird, man. It's still weird. Although I have to say, assuming they do well with that first round pick from the Lindholm deal, I don't hate that one.
Kuzmenko's been good. Bruce Davidge is one day hopefully going to be something.
The Lindholm deal they did very well.
Sharon Govich was good.
Yes.
Changed nothing about the team, but Sharon Govich was a good pick.
The Vancouver pick, the first round pick, is going to be 28th overall. It's not too bad considering everything.
You could maybe get Easton Cowan.
Maybe.
Like the Tanev deal.
That's what it was. They didn't receive the third. Oh, a third. They don't receive a whole third.
They get a second though.
Yeah, but that wasn't conditional. Like
but they get a second.
I know, but oh man,
And
man, oh man.
yeah.
Although I guess the condition is going to the Cup final. We should have known. Like, odds are you're not getting that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, dude.
The Hannafin deal is still a bunch of assets in there, so there's a bunch of pieces. It's just now a matter of what they do with it.
Oh, and low key, if you go to the top there,
Mm-hmm.
Nikita Okodiuk, he's leaving.
What?
He's supposedly signed a deal on the K.
Oh.
So here's a 5th round pick to San Jose. We will use this guy for 9 games and goodbye. Yep. Yeah, no, it's very up and down deadline.
No. Go ahead and tell me how great they're doing, guys. I'm thrilled for you.
Who are these fictional people?
And by the way, Markstrom, let's get him to waive his no trade clause and then not make the trade.
Oh, to New Jersey?
You absolute rubes. Just the dumbest. The dumbest. I can't believe
The Flames.
if you don't have, we didn't talk about this enough because it got buried in a whole bunch of other stuff. But if you don't have a deal in place that you're comfortable with, you don't ask the goalie to waive the no trade. This guy picked this city over Edmonton. He picked you
in free agency.
He picked you.
Yeah.
He said, I don't want to go. And then you say, you know what, Jake, we want you to go. So please waive your no trade. And he goes, you know what? Fine, I'll waive it. And then they're like, sorry, we don't have a deal. What kind of idiotic crap is that?
You would think he's getting dealt in and around the draft.
He better demand to get dealt. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I think
the Flames to me are a team that could turn it around in a heartbeat. Absolutely turn it around in a heartbeat. But they were at the center of every 32 Thoughts segment from the beginning of November till the end of February.
it's exhausting.
Because they were leaking crap. They were leaking like a leaky ship. Who's on that? There's a few people on that management group that are known for that, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Mm-hmm.
And got very little done.
The Calgary Flames franchise took a tailspin and kind of ended on May 20th, 2022.
Oh, baby.
That's the day of Game 2 against the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, that is not what I thought you were going to say.
No. In Game 1.
2022.
2022.
Okay.
In Game 1, the Calgary Flames had that miraculous 9-5 victory, if you remember.
9-6.
9-6. Yes, sorry, my bad.
Wasn't miraculous at all.
And
they had a 6-2 friggin' lead and blew it.
And then they managed to hold on barely. And then in Game 2, and from there, they did not win a game. Mm-hmm. On that roster for that game in Game 2 of May 2022, Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, Blake Coleman, Rasmus Anderson, Elias Lindholm, Tyler Toffoli, Calle Yarncroke, Oliver Shillington, Noah Hannafin, Chris Tanev, Eric Goodbranson, Nikita Zadorov, Milan Lucic. They had a damn good team.
And Oilers fans, is this the best day of your life?
And since that game,
how are the Flames catching strays?
Since that game, nothing has worked out in Calgary. They traded all of these stars. Brad left. The team is completely unhappy. Every star they've brought in has not worked out. And it's not been great in Calgary since this moment.
Hilarious, Jesse, how many people are blaming Brad for this. And I agree, he shares some blame. But
yeah, he was the GM.
Come on, man. When nothing changes when they switch the GM out, you watch. What do you think it is, guys? What could be the reason that Calgary keeps acting this way? What could be the reason that the GM did not hire the head coach?
Well, this is part of the reason that I've been so hard on Shanahan with the Leafs is like, okay, Brad Treliving's there. Here's what he likes. Here's what he doesn't like. What does his boss say? Right? And in Calgary, it's been about what does your boss say? Right? Mm-hmm. What does he want to do? And it sounds like they got in the way of business this year. And they've gotten in the way of business in years past.
Yeah, that's
a problem.
That lineup is too damn good to lose like that.
I think a large part of this blame for the destruction of Calgary since that season should be put on the shoulders of Daryl Sutter.
I agree.
I think he was an awful head coach there, and nobody liked him, and it caused this franchise to disintegrate.
Why do you think? So first off, here's what happens: you play chicken with Johnny Gaudreau, and finally, on the night of June 30th, 2022, after all he's done for the franchise, you say to him, "Fine, Johnny, we'll give you the contract you're looking for," and he goes, "You know what? I don't think so. I don't think so. You guys didn't pay me that respect. I'm going to go. I'd rather be in Columbus," which was a mistake. I'm sure he would rather not be in Columbus at this point because they're the worst run team. He wanted to be in Philly, but the Philly, Chuck Fletcher had to have Tony DeAngelo. Needed to have him.
Well, and you might have missed one. So a few days ago, the Cam and Strick podcast, Blake Coleman, who signed a 6-year deal with Calgary,
who I love, by the way,
a year in, he tells the story on the podcast that Tkachuk wanted to sign an extension.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and why do you think Tkachuk wanted to leave? Tkachuk all of a sudden wanted to leave. Jesse,
I wonder if Daryl Sutter isn't the head coach in Calgary if Matthew Tkachuk is still there.
Oh, I bet they're both still there. Franchise
looks a lot better.
There's a lot of Leaf parallels. You don't fire your pain in the ass crotchety coach fast enough. And all of a sudden everyone hates it there.
Well, and the question is, who hired him? Who hired him? Now, listen, the guy they had before Sutter was garbage too. I don't know why they needed Bill Peters.
Was it Bill Peters then Daryl Sutter?
I think, well, there was somebody in between. Was it not Mike Eo or something like that?
Or Galutson?
Glenn Galutson, also a bad hire. But end of the day, I think part of that comes down to budget available to hire head coaches. Mm-hmm. And the reality is that there was a really good roster there.
Management above him liked him.
Don't forget Jeff Ward.
Oh, Jeff Ward.
That's who you're thinking of. It went Bob Artley, Glenn Galutson, Bill Peters, Jeff Ward, Daryl Sutter, Ryan Huska.
Oh, God.
Daryl Sutter, who, by the way, won the 2022 Jack Adams Award.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
great work,
Coach
guys.
of the year.
Who votes on that?
In any sport is
the broadcast.
The best.
Oh, it's the play-by-play guys.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not the best guys to ask. Who had the surprise year? We don't get to vote on it. We're not play-by-play.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean, how dare you? Who are you defending?
No, I want a podcasters voted award.
Which is what?
And we just make it about memes. We
brought the lulls.
Yeah, whoever's funniest. Phil Kessel wins, even though he didn't play.
Yeah, I like that.
Your comparison to Babcock's a little interesting, Steve, because I find Daryl Sutter, he rode those 2 cups in LA, right? Like he wins those 2 cups and then he doesn't get a job after that. And it's like, okay, let's bring back the grizzled, the old guy who's won some cups and has some pedigree.
Let's play
bring
the
him
hits.
to Calgary. Let's play the hits. And then how does it go? Complete failure.
Yeah, remember when they used to do those features on him and be like, yeah, he doesn't want to coach in the NHL anymore. He just wants to hang on his farm. Or like, it's like what Babcock said at the end of that Katie Strang article from The Athletic. Yeah, you want to go traveling? No, you want to coach in the NHL, you bum. Nice try.
Like, you want to play hard to get with like one of the most exclusive jobs in professional sport.
Yeah, no. He didn't get hired after LA because people realized that the league had passed him by, except for Murray Edwards. Murray Edwards didn't realize that.
And like for his time,
he took the Flames Cinderella story all the way to the finals in 04.
Two Kings Cups.
Yeah.
Like he's been to the final at least 3 times.
Game passed him by.
Yeah, it feels like when the Blue Jays brought back Cito Gaston just for like the PR.
Oh, the day that happened, I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Cool. And after about a month, I'm like, well, all right.
And then
what if he just like?
And then didn't they replace him with the guy it was the guy that went to Boston they replaced him with, right? It was after John Gibbons.
Yeah, John Farrell.
John Farrell.
And then went to Boston and won the fucking World Series.
He's like, yeah, that's cool. Thanks for letting me coach here, but I got to break my contract and leave.
Yeah. He's like, oh, the Boston job's available. This thing in Toronto's kind of a joke, right?
God bless the Raptors, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously.
Jeez.
I was funny. I mentioned briefly that during my stream last night, somebody asked me about how I thought the Oilers and Panthers matched up. And I said, I got to give the Panthers credit for taking the Boston playbook and basically maximizing it. And some Boston fans got really mad at me because they're like, I don't remember any of our players targeting people's heads and putting them out of the series. And I'm like, you must not have watched.
Okay.
Like, I said, why? I said to the guy, I was like, why don't you just own what you are?
Okay, here. Respectfully. The Bruins were one of the best teams for a decade.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Like,
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
They never headshotted a guy. Anyway, so Bruins fans got mad at me. But it was a good question that I was asked because people were asking midway through the second period, how do the Oilers and Panthers match up? And I was like, I think it's too early. But I think there's a couple of things. The Oilers series, from what I have seen, and remember, I covered the Vancouver Canucks mostly in the first round. From what I have seen is they have played gentlemanly series. There has been no hatred in these series. The Vancouver Canucks, a little bit. Dallas Stars, a little bit. Not even a single fight in any of the games.
Stars don't welcome it.
No, they don't, and it's not their game. The Oilers have to be ready, and I kind of went through it all. Personnel. The Oilers have got to get ready for what this Panthers, and I want to make it about the Panthers, what they can do to you. What is Tkachuk and Bennett and Cousins and all these guys, what they all can do to you?
The Panthers don't get enough credit for how good they are at hockey. Like, dude, they're violent and they're sociopaths and they don't care, but they're an incredible hockey team when they're not doing all that nonsense.
Yeah, what if we just talk about, hey, they have a great forecheck? Like, what if
oh my God.
What if instead of like, oh, the Panther, Sam Bennett's gonna fucking slash you in the head with his stick and then cut your throat open?
What?
Like,
he'll do that too, though.
What if Paul Maurice is an excellent coach and they have a fantastic forecheck and they can score very timely goals off the rush and they're very good at hockey?
By the way, like at the beginning of the series, the Panthers-Rangers series, I called them targeting Trouba, and they targeted the dog shit out of him. They are going to...
I feel like that's an easy strategy.
It's an easy strategy, but no. But I didn't mean like in terms of, hey, that guy stinks. Let's go in his corner all the time. No, they tried to wear him down. They are going to beat the piss out of Matthias Ekholm.
Yeah.
They're going to beat the piss out of that guy.
Yep.
Because that's the move, I think.
It's reported.
Balls, shave your balls.
It's reported today that Ilya Lyubushkin may test free agency.
Yeah.
And your Bush should also test free agency with Manscaped. I made that up myself. That wasn't in the script.
Ilya, gotta be kidding me.
The Bush?
What does that mean?
It means trim your boosh.
What does it mean testing free agent?
It means that it should maybe detach.
Those two things don't really apply.
I think it works great.
Testes,
Free agency.
free shave your balls.
All right.
10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. You can be one of them too. And you can use the code DANGLE for 20% off and free shipping. You heard it here first. The boys are back in town. It's summertime. Well, almost. I mean, listen, we've been trimmed down to 2 teams back in the NHL. Why not trim your 2 teams down there?
Down. Matty, why are you laughing? This is very good.
Can I say that the handyman has changed my life? It's their electric shaver that you can just you can use it to trim around your beard. I used to use a blade to do it, like a razor, and I'm the king of cutting myself with a razor. And now that I have the handyman, thank you Manscaped, I just use that to just trim around the beard. It's changed my life.
I'm glad you're no longer the king of that horrible.
I cut myself so easily.
See, listen, and here's the deal. You can take it on the go. Manscaped has you covered. If you're Jesse and you're going on vacation this summer and you need your beard to look hot, these trimmers come with a travel case, which actually Jesse loves, and a travel lock feature to avoid any accidental powering or weird looks in the airport when something starts buzzing.
That happens.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DANGLE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code DANGLE for your what?
Huh?
Balls.
Thank you.
I was thinking about the buzzing in the airport.
For the best your boys have ever looked, trust Manscaped. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering world-class products rated 5-star by over 300,000 people. We're talking about durable frames, crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures, even if the outdoor adventure is your pool, right, Steve?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Well, don't jump in the pool with them.
No. Well, you can, though.
You can.
And the great thing about them is that they are covered by pretty lovely guarantee. If you sit on them, if you lose them.
If you have a 3-year-old who just decides, how would this manage against a rock?
Right.
They just go, yeah.
I don't know what it is about 3-year-olds too. They love grabbing sunglasses off your face.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, it's the funniest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go and grip down really hard on them. And they you could see their fingerprints. Like not just a circle. You can identify them.
So if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements.
Can I just shout out their Green Wolf line of sunglasses, which are specifically designed to play golf in? They like the contrast on the actual lens, like they enhance your like sight lines on a golf course and everything, and they're engineered to play golf with. They're incredible.
Would they make me a better golfer?
They're incredible.
Would they make me a better golfer?
No, nothing will help you be a better golfer.
ShadyRays.com and use the promo code SDP for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Remember, it's not limited to 2. You could just keep buying. Again, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the season. ShadyRays.com. Use the promo code SDP, 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try it for yourself. Get the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Are we doing like not
a preview yet?
A 10-minute preview in the show?
We are.
Okay.
But we could do it later on too in the week because the game's not till Saturday. Right? So we got plenty of time.
Let's do it in this show.
You want to do it in this show? But first I want to talk about the Oilers Stars game.
Yeah.
Here's
that series.
Oh, you want to talk about that? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean 35-10 is otherworldly.
I don't want to get into that just yet.
No?
I want to go pregame with this.
You're jumping ahead.
I got a clip.
That's the end shot.
People get mad at me for doing this, by the way. They're like, let Steve go. I'm like, if I let Steve go, we'd be twirling towards freedom.
Oh, no.
This is how the show has always been. Welcome.
No, I need an adult.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. What I want to do is I want to start with this because it piggybacks off our conversation, your epic rant on Friday that people absolutely loved, where you were talking about coaches being kind of losers with the now the quote had to do with the fact that Keefe was saying, people were telling me I'm coaching in the real NHL. And what did you say? Because he's not in Toronto anymore.
Well, I said you should want there to be 32 markets like Toronto. That would be the healthiest league possible, is having 32 markets like Toronto. Oh, it's so toxic. How does LeBron James get out of bed in the morning? Are you joking? Or any European soccer player or any quarterback?
He's posting
any pitcher
on Instagram. I can't believe this is my life, and he's smiling in his pool.
Yeah.
That's LeBron.
Holy shit. I'm rich. And like I have every record, but also double. Like whoever's second. Like, how does he get out of bed in the morning? That guy must be made of adamantium.
All right.
Now.
What? Sorry, yeah. Why are we talking about this?
We're circling.
You went a little far with it, but that's okay.
Yeah, my bad.
I want to take you to Pete DeBoer, who does not like when reporters who haven't been there all season long are there now. Imagine coverage gets expanded the further a team gets in the playoffs. Not in Pete's world.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you're praising the Oilers, did you not think it was kind of a lifeless second period for your team after falling behind and just kind of putting no pressure on them at all?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's always things you can do better. You know, I'm not, you know, you can sit here and question our character if you want. You haven't been around all year. I haven't seen you here all year. So, yeah, well, you are. That's what you're doing. So, you know, I'm not going to do it. You know, you go ahead and write whatever you want.
As much.
So, okay.
So first off, he doesn't, by the way, that's after they legitimately had a bad effort in the second period. Yeah. By the way, in games 4, 5, and 6, they had bad efforts in the second period.
This press conference was after game 5.
Yes.
The Stars looked like they were sleeping for most of the game.
So I'm going to give DeBoer credit because I don't know if you have the clip from the next day when where
they were all buddy and they made up for it.
Spoke to that reporter and they made up for it. And he goes, if I had a second crack at your answer, and it was very gentlemanly and very nice. What I didn't like about that answer, and I'll defend him after, is from experience, like again, I'm not there every day, so shame on me. But from experience, hockey guys, when they're mad, have about 4 things they say. And one of them is questioning our character. And you can question our character.
He didn't question the reporter did not question the character. He said, how was the effort? That's not character.
Yeah. Like,
that doesn't make you a bad guy. It's just, did you think the effort was there? What's your opinion?
Hey, so the Oilers had more shots than you in the second. Why don't you love your kids? Like that's what they act like. Hey, so your team got outscored in the second period, and I also have footage, if you'll look at this, of you beating up a homeless person. Like that's what they think when you tell them, hey, you could have tried a little harder.
Right.
And it just drives me nuts. But to that, I will say, well, case in point with what I was saying, like the pressure gets amped up in terms of the media. And a lot of guys can't handle it. The other thing I will say, and I was told this from like the beginning of my career onward, and it's not like I have an extensive reporting career, but I've done it. And they hate answering questions after the game.
Sure.
They hate. And hey, do you ever notice this always happens after a loss?
Yes, it does.
Like, you know what I mean? Like and they're human. They're human. I get it. Because why would you start a fight after a win? But it's born from a bad mood, right? And no one wants to talk about why they lost. And DeBoer was, credit the Oilers. He didn't want to get into the weeds. Reporter tried to drag him into the weeds. We sort of made fun of Darnell Nurse for getting pissy with the media, also after a loss, by the way. But I mean, he did the right thing. Two-word answer. We good? Thanks. Bye.
I thought he was perfectly fine to do that.
Yeah, but like then, we don't need to go making things up. Hey, why do you steal from charities?
I guess my feeling with watching this is it goes back to the fact that this is not the first coach I've seen do this. So this isn't just me calling out Pete DeBoer specifically. I have no qualms with Pete DeBoer. It has to do with the fact that there is you haven't been here all year. Do you not know how sports works? In fact, I know you know how sports works. I know you know how media works. And when something becomes a bigger story, like Game 60 in February versus Game 5 and Game 6 in May and June, you know that the amount of coverage of that story is going to naturally increase. So calling out a reporter for literally just expanding coverage, you should be welcoming these people.
I think
you're in Texas, baby. There's so much competition.
I think there's a couple things there. They do respect you more when you go every day. They do.
And that's fair.
I've seen it.
But that might not be that reporter's job.
No, I know. I'm not criticizing that reporter. I think there's a certain etiquette that comes with it.
And you know the person, and you're more respectful because you got to deal on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah,
I get it.
They don't like when you show up once a month or once a year in certain cases. And I'm not talking about, they show up for the playoffs. I'm talking about literally they show up at locker cleanup day and that's it. They don't like when you show up once a year and start throwing haymakers.
Yep.
Which I've seen guys do.
It happens in Toronto all the time.
It happens in Toronto, and you see people go, yeah, good for them. But it's also like, it's one thing when you have a rapport with someone. It's another when you show up once a year and you go, hey, fuck you.
Yeah, I don't think
like, what?
This was the situation with Tim is the reporter who Pete DeBoer yelled at. And we can get to
I agree.
The redo that Pete DeBoer had with Tim, Cowlishaw, I believe is his name. But when exactly what you're talking about during the playoffs, and when there's like a big game 7, like they get eliminated or something, you see the other people show up, not the sports guys, but maybe the person from the local news who's now just sent there to go cover this one game for the entire year. And
that's a whole other thing.
Going in there and being like, I'm going to ask the gotcha question. That's where I can see some animosity coming from the person at the podium, where it's like, no, you're not, let's not do this here. Like, you don't come in here one day and be like, you know what, here's my question at you. So I understand his frustration in that sense when the news divisions do that, because it's kind of bullshit.
It develops fast. So like I always talk about, the only time I ever thought of myself as like a beat reporter was 2016 Marlies. Like I was going to not every game, but almost every game. I was going to the practices and stuff, and there were not a ton of people there. And you get to know people, and like Sheldon Keefe, for example, was like, okay, I can talk to you, but like you need to give me half an hour. And I stood there and I waited, and they were like, oh, you're still here. And they gave me all the time in the world, and they're really nice to you. Then the playoffs arrive, and some guy shows up for the first time.
Damian Cox.
Yep. And
I think everybody's heard this story.
Did I say it was
you've
him?
said it multiple times.
I don't know.
Did I say it was him?
Yes.
There's a lot of new listeners. They probably haven't heard it, but so we
Yeah,
just,
I didn't want to put him on blast.
he put the Marlies on blast on Twitter.
Yeah, but like, also, who gives a shit? But like, anyway.
Tell the story.
The story was he wanted to interview this reporter, wanted to interview Kyle Dubas, who was the GM of the Toronto Marlies at the time, like during intermission of a playoff game.
A Marlies playoff game, yeah.
And they're like, no, it's a playoff game. And he got very upset about that. And everyone was like, okay, well, it's a playoff game. So no. Then after the game, we go down to interview the players, and he was upset that we weren't able to go in the locker room. We're never able to go in the locker room. They don't do that. I don't know if they do that now, but at the time they don't do that. They were very good about
bringing guys out.
You say, hey, I want this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, or whatever. And they would bring them out one by one, and they would put them in front of the thingy, and you would ask them their questions. And I don't remember ever being like, oh, shoot, they cut that off too quickly. Like that, they were very good about it. They're the Marlies. They want you to be there. This reporter, just like he's looking up at this, their media guy at the time was like 6'7". He's like looking up at him and like accosting him. Like, what? Why can't I go in there? And we're all like,
you never do. You haven't been here, so you wouldn't know that.
Yeah. And so that was one time where like the one time I'm a beat guy, I'm like, oh, here comes the casuals. So like it's easy to sink into that mindset. I get it.
And
there is an etiquette to it.
And I don't want people to get confused with the conversation that Pete DeBoer and Tim had, like the question there and that conversation, because what Tim did wasn't what we're talking about. That's a separate, that's separate stories about people who invade the space who aren't there all the time. Then that's kind of where Pete DeBoer's kind of angst comes from, but Tim wasn't that person in that instance, and it's illustrated in his apology the next day. So I can read that for you here. This is what Pete DeBoer said when Tim asked him another question the next day. He said, "That's a good question, Tim." He laughed. "Let's do a redo." Yeah, I mean, and again, I think to last night, if I had a redo on your question, what I would tell you is this team, and I'm not saying you were, and I took it that way in an emotional moment after the game. But the one thing we can't question in our group is my mind is our commitment, our care, our character. This group was in third place in the division, 8 weeks left in the season, won the conference, found a way to push for the President's Trophy, was down against the last two Stanley Cup champions in round 1 and 2, including 2-0 going on the road into Vegas, got off the mat, found a way to win both series. I get the question. I get how it felt last night, but I've got full confidence in the character in our room. Talking more about fatigue, you've had to stretch some defense a lot. That's Tim asking him again. You know what? That's a real fair point, but we're not going to use that as an excuse. If it's real, it might be, but that can't come into play this time of year.
So, by the way, this means Tim asked a very good question.
Oh,
It got a good answer. It took a while.
Tim's question was valid because the Stars looked lazy.
Yeah.
They didn't come out to play for most of Game 5.
And he even softened it by being like, here's why that might have been.
Yeah.
And Pete DeBoer, to his credit's like, fair, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse.
Yeah, no, Tim knows his shit. And like, I feel like they're kind of two separate conversations, but that's kind of insight into why Pete had that reaction. Like, I haven't seen you all year. Like, that stems from things like Damian Cox.
And
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly.
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 I wasn't trying to say his name. Oh.
Did it happen?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I definitely. I was there. It
So
happened.
then what do we? Yeah. Okay. Now I want to say this. Pete DeBoer's quote on Tim's second question was I think proven by the Dallas Stars last night. I think that they do have character. I think that they did put in a good effort. But I will say this. When you look only at shots, and I think they were 35-10.
35-10.
Which is crazy. And it sounds like lunacy that I'm telling you this. If you watch throughout the game and you watched high danger scoring chances, not scoring chances, high danger scoring chances. High danger scoring chances were almost even until the third period. It was like 5-4. Dallas had like 20 shots. Edmonton had like 6.
Edmonton parked the bus in a way that I've never seen a team park the bus.
It's never happened in history.
You know where this has happened?
Where?
Edmonton Game 5. Edmonton Game 7.
Yeah.
This is how they play. I was like, why is everybody so... Were you not watching the other Edmonton playoff games? They get like a 2-0 lead and they just shut it down. And it's been so effective all playoff long. So like, I feel like this is just kind of how it's been working. And it's been very successful.
I guess what I'm missing is I'm used to watching them go up, park the bus, and blow it. Because the bus is made of paper mache.
They haven't done that in months.
Yeah, they're not like that anymore.
Right.
Like, not like that.
This Edmonton team, like, we'll get it. I don't know if we want to do the preview or whatever, but they were down from the very beginning, the first 12 games in. Since that moment, they're a completely different team with
18.
Chris Knobloch.
I think they were 5-12-1.
Oh, there you go.
I got stats for you.
If you want to bring those to the table, just this Edmonton team isn't the Edmonton team we think in our mind from like last season or the beginning of the season. And it's been months and it's finally here.
Or like 3 years ago when they had a 50% penalty kill ratio.
Yo, that was nuts.
They've done it for 3 rounds now against some of the best competition in the league. Let's just accept that Edmonton can park a bus and win a hockey game. Yeah. This is how they do it, 35-10.
So I've got some great stats for you, because we've only talked pregame, but let me talk. This is from Freach first, okay? Edmonton's 10 shots were the fewest in a conference final clincher ever. Previous was 17 by the Boston Bruins, knocking out the Washington Capitals in 1990 for the Wales Conference Final.
They had 7 fewer shots in the previous record.
That's right.
My God.
I believe the Boston Bruins, did they not go on to play the Edmonton Oilers in that final? I know Edmonton won that year. Worst shot differential by a winning team in the conference finals clincher is a -25, 35-10, which is what happened last night. Previous was -23 when Nashville was outshot 41-18 by Anaheim in Game 6 of the 2017 West Final, and the Predators won that game 6-3.
What?
Yeah, isn't that nuts? Now,
Wow.
I want to. Producer Hayden did such a great job throughout this series building stat packs for me. This was the first time the Oilers clinched a Stanley Cup Final berth at home since 1988, since Gretzky.
What?
Nice.
200. Yesterday.
Oh,
it was,
Stanley Cup Final.
Yes,
That's sorry.
at
That's
home.
believable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday was 200 days. So today it's 201 days, but I'll give you the stat anyway. Exactly 201 days ago today, the Oilers were 31st in overall NHL standings.
Unbelievable.
They were 14 points back of Dallas, 8 points back of the second wild card spot.
Move over, St. Louis Blues. There's a new last place team we all look up to.
And what did we say about the Dallas Stars going into this series?
They're deep.
They're deep, balanced throughout the lineup. Number of different goal scorers in the Western Conference Final. Dallas, 7. Edmonton, 11.
Wow.
And that didn't change last night because you had repeat goal scorers. Oilers are 18th in NHL history to have, they're the 18th team in NHL history to have 4 players with 20 plus points in a playoff year. All other of those 17 made the Stanley Cup Final, with 13 of them winning the Cup. Most points by a defenseman through the first 17 games of a postseason. So this doesn't include last night. Denny Potvin with the Islanders in 81 when he had 25. Leach with the Rangers in 94. They also won that cup, 25. Bouchard had 25 and 17 going into last night. Cale Makar in the 2002 Avs, and Paul Coffey in the
2022.
2022 Avs, and then Coffey with the 85 Oilers. And Connor McDavid is tied for, I think he's now surpassed, he's probably higher. Connor McDavid going into last night with 25 assists, tied for 7 most assists in a single postseason. The record, which he might break now, is 31 by Wayne Gretzky.
Zach Hyman sitting at 68 goals. Holy
This
shit.
team, and I want to say this, Jesse nailed it with the Edmonton defense, because most of those star shots were from the outside. They didn't get bodies to the net until the third period.
They whiffed on a few opportunities.
They did,
but
no question.
Oh, yeah.
And that happens, but there weren't enough opportunities. See, here's the thing. When you're creating enough opportunities, unless you're Edmonton last night and you convert on everything that you got.
Like,
They literally did.
like, man.
You need to continue to create opportunities. That's the job, right? And Dallas just could not push in. And I think what's really, really important is Chris Knobloch, rookie head coach, goes, you know what? I've gone CC Nurse all season. It hasn't worked. Let me put Vinny Desharnais and Nurse together. I'm going to put Kulak and CC together. That works for a couple games, and then it doesn't. They fall down 2-1 to Dallas. And what does Knobloch do? He goes, I'm going to bring in Broberg, who we've mostly fucked around with.
Yes.
We've mostly blown this guy's development. I'm going to put him in, and
He's
then
going to score immediately.
and then Kulak is moving up. Brett Kulak and Darnell Nurse, and because I need mobility next to Darnell Nurse. And look at what happens.
I've been so...
Broberg scored, by the way, too.
Yes, he did. I've been so impressed with Chris Knobloch and his in-game, but like also in-series adjustments in the playoffs.
He does stuff.
Yeah, it really is a period by period by period thing. I've noticed that with the Panthers too. They're extremely good. This is going to be a great coaching matchup. They're extremely good at being like, all right, that was the first period, and completely different in the second period. We're going to turn it on its head, and our opponent has absolutely no answer for it. Knobloch has done that really, really well. Last night maybe wasn't the best example of it, on account of I doubt they wanted to be outshot 35-10, but they won.
And we got to take a look at Maverick Bourque last night, because Pete DeBoer did make an adjustment, tried to get some scoring on that fourth line with Dodonov, and because he got Faxa out, Delandria was out, Sam Steele stayed in.
I hate that brought out the old hockey man in me. Like,
what do you mean?
Because both I thought, okay, the Rangers might 4-7, probably not. Stars are going to 4-7. And I saw the Rangers with their hope and a prayer lineup changes, and I'm like,
Desperation.
And then I see the Stars throw in Maverick Bourque in his first NHL game as an elimination game. I went, they're done.
He created an opportunity.
Oh yeah, and it has
Good.
nothing to do with him being bad. It has everything to do with, that's very obviously a coach going,
I need scoring.
I'm
He wasn't
I'm
getting
just
scoring.
gonna try something. Dallas Mavericks, by the way. Am I the first one to make that joke? Am I the first one? No, I couldn't be.
Okay.
Couldn't be.
The other thing I want to throw out there, guys, is the difference that Adam Henrique made when he returned to the Oilers lineup in this series.
I'd pay a first-round pick for that.
I would too. Get you to the finals because it allowed Knobloch to remake the second line, which had Dylan Holloway and Evander Kane on it, and with Draisaitl wasn't working. So you put Ryan McLeod, who very definitely stopped a goal last night.
Oh, yeah.
Draisaitl and Corey Perry, get Perry back in the lineup. Holloway, Henrique, Kane, and then you push Janmark down to the fourth line with Ryan and Connor Brown.
They're definitely deeper than they've been in previous years. Wasn't Janmark on like the second line?
There were times, yeah, absolutely. This year.
Yeah, now he's way down there on the fourth.
And he's good in that spot.
Same with the Panthers. Last year, they were using Cousins a lot on the second line. He's on the fourth now.
And
Some games.
They should add Tarasenko,
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah.
By the way, that
Yeah,
had to feel
like-
good for Tarasenko for, by the way, as an aside, to beat the Rangers because he was on them last year. And Kyle Okposo, who's played for the two worst franchises in league history and is finally going to the finals. Good for him. How do you guys feel about Jake Pavelski? Jake Pavelski.
Jake Pavelski.
Well, I like Jake Pavelski better. We're going with Jake.
If you covered them every day.
Joe Pavelski
sorry.
not going to the finals and the emotions in the Dallas Stars locker room afterward about it.
You can't play forever. He was relegated to the fourth line.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't produce. He's got hard miles on that body.
Lots of success, almost moments with the Sharks.
Yeah, you can't play forever, man. You can't play forever. It's so hard. And like Joe Pavelski is a big reason why, listen, Stanley Cups cement legacies. They do.
Mm-hmm.
If McDavid never wins one, it's going to be weird. It's going to be really weird. Like there was something relieving about Ovechkin winning one in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, now we don't have to have this conversation anymore.
Yep.
Like the greatest goal scorer ever not winning a cup. It feels very wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Pavelski is the greatest playoff goal scorer of his generation. Played nearly 200 games, or you might have ended up at 200 games. 74, 75 career playoff goals, which no one since 2003, or I want to say it's a stat going back to like 1995, something stupid like that, has more playoff goals than Joe Pavelski. And you can't play forever. He's gotten very close several times, a bunch of Final Fours, a Stanley Cup Final. You can't play forever.
4 points in these playoffs, but in 201 NHL playoff games, which is where he's at, 201 games is a lot. He has 74 goals.
Yeah. Oh, 74. Can I point out something really depressing?
You're not impressed by the 74 goals?
No. The
I think that's really good. That's like a goal almost every other game.
no, the 4 points,
Mm-hmm.
which is really disappointing.
Yeah.
Would have been tied for the Leaf lead.
Stop it.
What?
Stop.
What? It's true.
Julian's right.
It's true.
The playoffs are just Leaf fans stabbing themselves over stats.
Let me do it.
Here's a stat. How do I stab myself with it? That's
Let me pick the scab.
Julian's right. Julian's
Let
absolutely
me pick the scab so it never heals.
Jesse, what do you got there?
What do you mean?
What are you looking at? You look enthralled. You look
I
like you're
was-
building a case for something.
No, I was just looking at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' stats because he's the longest tenured Oiler on the roster right now. So he's been through the most for them.
And had two. He was the only guy that scored a power play goal in the series until like game 5.
That's
He had 2 of them.
First of all, I love when I'm talking to Adam and out of the corner of my eye, I see Jesse's page change a bunch of times because I'm like, what are you cooking?
building?
What are you making?
This episode is sponsored in part by BetterHelp. BetterHelp for when life throws some curveballs at you and you just need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it needs.
Chris Bassett,
Not like Chris Bassett.
like Barrios.
Well, yeah, I guess maybe if you're one of the batters and you're upset about how you're at Matt Went.
Yeah, but it's not batter help.
It's BetterHelp.
Oh
my God.
That was clever as hell.
Wow.
That was clever as hell.
Wow. Listen, when life goes fast, it's important to take a moment to celebrate your wins and maybe make some adjustments for the rest of this year. Because, by the way, it's June now. This is month 6.
Damn.
Month 6 of the year already.
Yeah, when you write it down.
Stop it. I'm going to,
That's how it works.
you know what? You're not very nice.
I know.
When life throws you a curveball, use batter help.
Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm engaging BetterHelp, and I'm going to get a therapist in 48 hours to deal with my mean friends.
Oh,
That's what
Fair enough.
That's what I'm going to do. Actually, if you want to, you can take a moment, visit BetterHelp.com, use the promo code SDP, get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/SDP. Check it out. All right. So why don't we start the clock here? Okay.
okay.
We're going to do a preview of these two teams going into the finals. So I'm going to start the stopwatch. It's been going for a long time, 311 straight hours.
Oh my God.
That's
Adam.
since the last time that we were doing the previews. I guess I never shut it off.
How is your phone not on fire?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, why is my phone so slow?
Oh my God.
Don't worry, it's reset now. Yay.
That's
Okay.
like playoff atrophy on your phone.
So are we ready, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
Yeah.
We are going to get a preview of the Edmonton Oilers and Florida Panthers. Starts now.
You guys asked what I was building.
What are you building?
The YouTube cut wouldn't have seen that part, but in the podcast, you asked what I was building. I can give you a Jesse Blake original stat.
Let's
if you want
go!
to kick it off with that.
Give me it.
Because I was looking at, one of the things going into the playoffs when I was building my bracket and everything, I tried to pick the hot teams. I tried to pick the hot teams going in, and they're gonna ride that momentum. But I didn't go back far enough because I was looking at who's the best team from like the last month or so, a couple of weeks and everything. That's how I kind of landed on the Islanders and all that nonsense that screwed up my bracket. I should have went back to November 5th, 2023.
Yeah,
Because-
the home stretch.
Because from November 5th onwards, that's 72 games of the season. So
That's so many games.
Let me get there. We take out the first 10 games from when the Oilers were bad. From that moment on, November 5th, the top two teams in the National Hockey League
Get out of
are
here.
Wow.
The Edmonton Oilers 1, the Florida Panthers number 2, who each had 99 points in that span.
It's identical records, 47, 20, and 5.
look
Edmonton
at the-
wins on a tiebreaker.
And look at the goal differential, guys. Goal differential is plus 71 and plus 70, and their PDO is close to like
It's
102.
identical.
Yeah, they weren't
Not bad.
they weren't playing above where they should have been based on PDO from the 72 game onward, or from back 72 games. And if we just want to go briefly to the other teams that are there from that point of the season, November 5th on, it's a collection of the best teams in the National Hockey League that made it too deep in the playoffs besides the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
3 is the Jets, 4 is the Stars, 5 is the Hurricanes, 6 is the Rangers, 7 is the Avalanche. I'm not saying anything here that's revolutionary. Oh, the best teams played well, but it's kind of,
They all made the second round.
yeah, it makes
for
a lot
one.
of sense that during this regular season stretch, where if you take out the first 10 games where the Oilers were clearly finding their stride, and Chris Knobloch wasn't even the head coach at this point yet. They still hadn't brought him in yet, but the Oilers were fantastic. The Florida Panthers were fantastic. And it's nice that these are the two teams we're left with here.
Here are the teams. Final, died. Final 4, second round. Final 4, second round. Second round, the Leafs.
Yeah, let's ignore number 9 there on the list. But I think that's a good place to start it.
I agree. That's a great stat, Jesse. So we have Saturday night. By the way, Steve will be doing his streams on Saturday. We're bringing them back, baby.
Let's go.
Okay, so where do we want to start with? I'm going to get your predictions at the end, which is what we normally do. Let's start with, what do the Florida Panthers, who are back for redemption, they were a finalist last year. They're back again. They're guaranteed to be a finalist this year. What do the Florida Panthers bring to this series? What are their strengths? What does Edmonton have to watch out for?
I think the most important thing Florida brings to the Stanley Cup Final that they didn't last year is a fully intact sternum.
That's key, actually. Yeah,
dude. Like
Matthew Tkachuk can get out of bed.
Well, he was their like best player last year outside of Sergei Bobrovsky, and he wasn't able to play, and he was still like one of their better performers in that Cup Final. I want to say he was the only reason they won whichever game it was that they won in that series. The Panthers have two lines that no one has an answer for, which is convenient because the Edmonton Oilers have a very similar setup. The Panthers do it a little differently, but they swarm you. Last year, it felt like they obviously played really good hockey, but it felt like they got to the Stanley Cup Final a little bit on brute force.
Yes.
Right? A little bit on brute force and relying on goaltending. I mean, there were points in that Rangers series you could have given Bobrovsky a pillow, a blanket, and a chamomile tea, and he would have been chilling for the whole rest of the game. They make his life really easy. They turn defense into offense as good as any team in the league that I've seen. Barkov has shut everybody down, and Sam Bennett is just a battering ram right now that like teams seem to genuinely fear.
Jesse, same question. What do the Florida Panthers bring that Edmonton needs to watch out for? Their biggest strengths.
Oh, their biggest strength, I think, is their defense. Like I feel like at this point, it's underrated how much of a defensive team that Florida is, because we like all of the guys who we like to talk about, like Bennett and Tkachuk and Barkov. They're all on the forward group, right? But so looking at their back end, where you have a guy like OEL, who in his past when he was in Arizona, he was like tasked with being the number one defenseman
Everywhere, all the time.
everywhere all the time. And now he gets to play on a third pairing and just sit back and play that role. Having that guy who knows what it's like to be a 25-minute a night guy being your 19-minute a night guy, it just shows the depth in it. And I've said I've complimented them enough, but Montour and Mikkola, I think they're my favorite pairing so far in this playoffs, because anybody who goes up against them, whenever Paul Maurice has that home ice advantage and he can target whatever line he wants to throw those two guys out against for his opponent, like they shut them down every single time. Like if he gets that last change, he'll shut them down. So if you're Edmonton, you worry about your ability to break through this terrific defensive team.
And like Florida's not gonna ISO you. Like they're not gonna, okay, here's Heiskanen on McDavid, which I thought, hey, if anyone's going to do it, it's Heiskanen. And then in the clincher, McDavid decides to pour gasoline on him and light him on fire. Like
it was if you're talking about the dangle he made, it's on his wrong side too.
Like
so like McDavid, you recognize that, you go at him, he's on the wrong side of the ice, and he takes advantage.
On fire, just light him on fire. It's not Tanev. It's got to be a team concept.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to staple someone to him to be an asshole, you can definitely do that too. But it just I know the Oilers are not the New York Rangers. They're a very differently composed team, but there was nowhere to breathe. Like it was funny to me when that stat came out after the series. Kucherov had 0 goals at 5-on-5 while on the ice with Barkov. Pasternak only had 1 and Panarin had 0. And it's funny that Barkov got that attention, because the line that I thought was completely eating the Rangers alive didn't even have Barkov on it. It was the Rodriguez, Tkachuk, Bennett line, which was an absolute holy terror nightmare.
Now, the other side of this is the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh my God.
What do the Florida Panthers need to watch out for with the Edmonton Oilers?
The world's fastest and most ridiculous player in Connor McDavid, and the front runner for the Conn Smythe Trophy in Leon Draisaitl, and the best net front presence in the National Hockey League right now in Zach Hyman. You got to watch for that. And I don't think the Panthers have had to deal with a team willing to match their brutality in the same way that the Edmonton Oilers are able to do.
I think that's an interesting point. I actually do think Edmonton can match their brutality. You look at the guys. Vinny Desharnais may get back into the lineup real soon.
Game 1, no puck. No puck for either team.
Evander Kane. The one thing I will say is Corey Perry's been scratched a lot. And Jesse, I will come to this with this question. Corey Perry's been scratched a lot. He came back, and he was decidedly not the worm.
No. Because why would he be?
But I would encourage Corey Perry to do the worm.
Yeah. All
over the Florida ice. He needs to be the guy that is in their shit all the time. Evander Kane as well. Mm-hmm. You need Darnell Nurse, who decided in Game 5, I'm going to crush everybody, to continue to crush everybody. These guys, the Oilers, what they need to do is they don't need to be shitheads like the Panthers can be. Mm-hmm. The Oilers just need to be big and tough. Mm-hmm. And back them right off, and again keep them off Stuart Skinner. So continue, Steve. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, like the Panthers. I mean, you think about the Oilers with how fast some of their guys are. Mm-hmm. The Oilers have fast individuals. The Panthers have a fast team. They play incredibly fast. The Rangers were just sucking wind. There, I got it right this time. By the end of that series. So if I was the Oilers, I would try to drag them into the nonsense. I'd be right in Bennett's kitchen, like especially like a guy like Nurse. I want that guy tired. I want to see if there's any way possible I can weaken this line. And what I feel like teams haven't been able to do well enough, it's not about stapling a defenseman to a forward. If you need to shut down a center, you need a center. And Barkov, I mean, this is the final boss. It feels like McDavid was made for Barkov and Barkov was made for McDavid.
Unstoppable force, immovable object.
It's really, remember we were like, oh, Philip Deneau. No, that's just our damaged little Toronto brains thinking. This is the greatest defensive center in the National Hockey League against the greatest player in the National Hockey League, and it's going to be an absolutely mythical thing, Batman versus Joker thing to watch.
Jesse Blake, you're the Florida Panthers scouting and coaching staff, and today you were worried about what?
There's no way they're stopping Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. I think those two, no matter who is on the other end of the ice, will find a way to break through and get their cookies. Throw in Zach Hyman to that situation as well. Like, I don't think
about containing them, right?
It's just trying to limit the damage of the depth of the Edmonton Oilers, because I think the Stars are going to find their way because they have all season long. And I think once again, you'll see Leon show up, you'll see Hyman show up, and you'll see McDavid show up. And it's about, okay, can we stop Warren Fogle? Can we stop Holloway? Can we stop the outer? Can we stop Kane? Can we stop the outer edges of the Edmonton Oilers forward group, because they are really deep and the Stars are going to get what they want.
Draisaitl, I think, is going to be, this is a free space, but Draisaitl is going to be extremely important in this series because they're going to need him on the power play. I think the way the Panthers penalty kill, they're going to be way up in Evan Bouchard's shit. They like to pressure the point, so you're going to have to do that cross slot thing to Draisaitl score from the Rockstar slot. Edmonton with 28 straight penalty kills. Now you got to take on Sam Reinhart, who might be the best power play scorer in the world right now. So it's both teams are playing different beasts.
I got to say, I love Edmonton's penalty kill. And one of the things that I love the most about Edmonton's penalty kill is their ability to break up your play before you've even crossed their blue line.
What a
lot of teams. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? We're talking about the Edmonton PK, but they do such a great job of going, you're not even going to come in. Nope. You're not even getting in the front door.
No, Panthers are good at that too.
Yeah.
They're good at that. Funny that the two teams in the Stanley Cup Final are pretty good at things.
Okay, so there is not a Cinderella story this year, which I'm glad about. I don't want a Cinderella story. I want two heavyweights, rock'em sock'em robots. Okay?
Yeah.
How many games? Who wins the series? Which of you would like to go first?
I can go first because I disagree with Adam's assessment that there is not a Cinderella team.
Okay.
I'm riding the Cinderella Edmonton Oilers.
Cinderella?
I counted them out at the beginning of this season, where they were at that losing streak when McDavid was injured and they fired their head coach and they brought in Chris Knobloch. The percentages of making the playoffs were so out of the realm of possibility. Teams don't do this.
No.
And I'm not going to say it reminds me of the St. Louis Blues and their cup run.
Two completely different.
Two difference, but likening them together in that a team was in an impossible place, and to battle back from that impossible place and play the best hockey that any team has played all season long to reach this point. I don't know how I'm going to pick against the Edmonton Oilers. So I got Oilers in 6 to win the Stanley Cup. And Steve, you mentioned Evan Bouchard. Shout out Evan Bouchard, who's having one of the best playoffs ever for a defenseman, not just points wise, but being paired with Matthias Ekholm. They've been fantastic defensively. I think defense wins it for the Oilers, and they get the goals from the big stars. I think they win this series 6 games.
I think the Panthers in the early series are going to try to hammer the hell out of Matthias Ekholm. They're going to pick one defenseman and just target the hell out of him and try to just pick away at that wound like an MMA fighter kicking one leg and just hoping the tree eventually falls down. This series is going to go 7 because we deserve it. And it's anyone's series. I know I'll get yelled at by whichever team I don't pick. I got to pick one of them. Oilers fan Steve would be so disappointed. I'm going to go with Florida. Red Dead Redemption in 7.
Wow. Okay. So we got 2 Game 7 picks, and I'm not going to be the one that breaks that streak.
I
Oh no,
picked
you
6.
6.
Yeah.
I will not pick 6. I think this is 7. I thought we had a
great
streak going.
You
setup.
should have gone with 5. It would have been.
no,
oh,
yeah,
It would have
damn.
been great.
It just
I am
wasn't
going to not
true.
break the streak and disagree.
This wasn't factual.
I say the refs are going to win.
Yes. Oh, so the Panthers.
I will say this. I think that the Florida Panthers matched up well against the New York Rangers.
Incredibly well. Too
The
well.
Florida Panthers, who they play in the first in the first round again?
Yeah, okay, that's how good they are.
Tampa.
It was Tampa.
Oh God,
And they killed them.
killed them.
Tampa,
Who
Boston.
they play in the
New
second
York.
round?
Who did they? Oh, Boston.
Tampa, Boston, New York.
Yeah.
Killed them.
My point is that every single series, people have been like, "Hey, this team's good," but they don't match up well against the Panthers. This is the first series where I think the Oilers match up well against the Panthers.
The intensity matches.
And so
Intensity matches.
I will, and maybe this is recency bias because I've done the last 2 rounds for the Oilers. I'm going Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and the Edmonton Oilers win it in Game 7. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And I feel bad because I believe the last time Florida lost at home in 1996.
Florida has a 1-8 record all time in the Stanley Cup Final. Yeah, they've won 1 of 9 games.
And they won. Did they not? No, Vegas won at home, didn't they? Last year.
Yes.
They did.
And as a Leaf fan, I'm like, imagine playing 9 games in the Stanley Cup Final.
Hey, I'd be fine to lose some games in the final.
Yeah,
That'd be
that's
great.
all right.
One
That'd be
thing we
great.
didn't mention, because it's a preview, we should just throw in the goaltending matchup.
Oh yes.
We never mentioned Skinner versus Bob. I think Stuart Skinner's shown something special here in the last couple weeks after he lost his job early in the playoffs to battle back and to have a couple shaky games, but every time he has a shaky game, he has the ability to bounce back, and he's been good enough. And with the new National Hockey League, all you need is goaltending that's good enough.
My criticism of Stuart Skinner would be that he's been inconsistent. His consistency is built throughout the playoffs. Underratedly, Sergei Bobrovsky's been a little inconsistent. Like the Panthers have been so good in front of them that it's hidden a few stinkers. Now, maybe some of that is, well, the goalie on the other end of the ice is Igor Shesterkin, so maybe he was actually better than he looked. But I think the goalie matchup might be a little closer than you think.
And Steve, you got Panthers in 7.
7
I got Oilers in 6, and Adam
Oilers in 7.
or 6.
or 5.
Oh, I said 7.
2.
what I meant.
Oilers in 2.
That's what I meant. And by the way, this is by far our longest preview.
311 hours.
17 minutes long. So don't ever tell me that there's an Eastern bias on this.
Maddie, what's your pick for the Stanley Cup Final?
I'm going with you, Jess. I think Edmonton in 6.
Oh,
Damn.
let's go.
Yeah.
Everybody against Steve against the world. We need those shirts.
I'm rooting for them. Those 2
Yo,
players are 75% of their caps.
You know what's great about Steve is he roots for the team Nick Cousins plays for.
Wow.
I can't believe he would do that. to
Does
himself.
Steve hate Matthew Nye?
I think so. Steve likes to punch himself in the face.
No,
I
that
think.
was Sam Bennett.
Yeah, I know, but same
Oh,
team.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
Screw that guy.
Screw that guy. And you know why? He's from Arizona.
Yeah,
Mm.
there you go.
Hate them.
Now, a couple other things have popped up, and I think it's worth mentioning that Joel Edmondson for the Leafs
I was like,
will test free agency, although he's open to coming back.
yeah.
Ilya Labushkin, no contract negotiations there yet.
All right.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't think that you're making huge amounts of time for guys like that early in the offseason. They did that last year with David Kampf and didn't need to.
Yeah.
So here's what's interesting about Elliot Friedman and the ongoing Mitch Marner situation,
Okay.
which I get asked about at least once a stream.
What's this?
Don't be surprised if the Marner situation plays out over the next season in Toronto.
God damn it.
The delicate negotiations between player and team for a win-win, with the Leafs seeking a beneficial trade or strategic use of cap space. That's obvious. That's obvious to anybody that knows this. I'm just reading a breakdown of this. There are concerns within the Leafs organization if Marner remains unsigned, and a trade based on emotions like the Kadri trade a few seasons ago which the Leafs do not want to repeat. They fear Marner could thrive as a great player in a quieter market. By the way, they're right about that. He will thrive wherever he goes. That's what I believe. And here's the quote, if the contract demands on both sides are crazy, it could lead to a divorce. But on June 2nd, I'm not certain that Marner will be traded.
All right.
Wow.
All right. Who's the GM?
Brad Treliving.
Okay. So he wasn't here when the Kadri trade happened.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Who's the coach?
That would be Craig Berube.
Oh, okay. Well, he wasn't here when the Kadri trade happened. Fire Shanahan? Like immediately, right now? Okay, good. This is why. Okay.
I'm afraid of the fans.
We don't want to do the. Let's just keep. This dude does not manage anything like how he played. Ugh. All right. Here's another year of this shit. Can't wait. Like here's what I'll say.
The longer the Leafs hang on to Marner, the more his number can go up.
Well, here. How about this? If you're keeping him, I want to know before the season starts. I'm not doing this shit.
You probably are.
I'm not doing this shit.
You probably
No fan has any appetite for this shit.
You're right, but they probably
I don't want to hear about this all year.
You'll be hearing it.
Oh my God. What if it's like the Kadri trade where what?
Were you guys
was Marner
fucked
Marner
up?
suspended in back-to-back playoffs, fucking his team,
and then suspended for the new team?
Yeah, and then the year after fucks his new team, and then the next year
they win the cup. When
they win the cup, and he goes nanny boo boo. I didn't fuck my team that pays me millions of dollars this time, right?
And then keep going.
And also, where's the Leafs? Where's the Leafs Mikko Rantanen? Where's the Leafs Nathan McKinnon? Where's the Leafs Cale Makar?
Keep going with Kadri. And then goes to Calgary and underperforms.
Yep. Yep. Like what are you talking about emotional? What are you talking about who's emotional?
They had to trade Kadri.
Brad Treliving's emotional? He's been here less than a year, he's emotional. He's been here a year, he's emotional about this Marner trade. Craig Berube's emotional about this. Who's emotional? Emotional who? Guys, use your fucking head. The Kadri trade was using your head. The emotional thing would have been going, no, but I love my Boo Bear. I don't want to keep him. That would have been emotional. I don't care what he's done. I'm going to keep my Boo Bear. I think where the Leafs fucked up with the Kadri trade is making a shitty fucking trade.
You can bring
Kerfoot and Barry, you stink. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
What'd I do?
No, we have the trade, and we're just bringing it up.
Here's the trade.
Yeah, it's
trade
coming.
stinks.
It's coming. There it is. Oh, there.
This trade is poo butt. Nazem Kadri, Callie Rosen, and a 2020 third-round pick that turned into Jean-Luc Foudy for Tyson Barrie, yuck. Alex Kerfoot, yuck. And a 2026 round pick that turned into Joe Miller. I don't even know if the Leafs still have his rights.
The trade didn't feel that bad at the time.
Well,
I think instantly when that trade was made, people were like, great, Tyson Barrie. Alex Kerfoot. Now, there is a real Dubas guy. And that should have been your
does
first.
Nothing ever.
That should have been. And then people spent the next 4 years trying to explain to us how Kerfoot, and by the way, his big fat contract, he had a big deal. They signed him immediately.
4 years, 3.5. 3.5 per. Yeah, man. Like
crazy money.
Like, dude, it was one of those trades where at the time you're like, okay, they need a defenseman, so that's good. They need a right-handed defenseman, so that's good. And then they took the ice and you went, oh, right. He's a power play quarterback. And they have a guy who scored 20 goals already from the back end. What are they doing?
Yeah. Well, they tried to get TJ Brody.
They tried to get
Brody
TJ
didn't want to come. They wouldn't waive. Oh no, Kadri.
No, it was Kadri wouldn't go to Calgary.
Wouldn't go, yeah,
because he wanted to stay. That's how he tells the story. Is he had a limited no trade clause. Calgary was one of the teams he said no to. Colorado wasn't on the list, so he got traded to Colorado.
And this is what you do if you're Leafs man.
How are these things remotely related?
Which they didn't do, by the way, at the time. If you're using this as a backdrop, Leafs management, what you do at that time is you go to Nazem and you go, listen, your time in Toronto is done. We're trying to find you a position where, I don't want to be gone here. It really doesn't matter.
No, you got to do right by your guys.
It really doesn't matter what you sit him down and you say, Nazem, it's over. It's over because of A and B. And there has to be consequences for actions, which was the point of making the trade. And the problem is that there have been no consequences for playoff failure.
Mm-hmm.
So when we take the Kadri deal, which was made, and in retrospect, a big mistake.
He's the only guy who's ever paid for it.
He's the only guy
He's the only guy who's ever paid for it.
So
And he got a cup.
It's what blows me away about the Leafs organization. If they don't make this move this summer, it's really just, you know what, guys? We were not creative enough to do something else, so we'll do the same.
All right, so you're moving John.
Well, they can't move John.
All right, well, you're moving Morgan.
But then what happens? So let's say they don't make the trade. So then you're re-signing Mitch Marner, or you're letting him walk to free agency.
And that's my point,
Like,
Jesse.
what the hell?
If they go into this
That's
season with
even
Mitch
worse.
Marner and they want to try to re-sign him, his number goes up with each passing game because he gets more of the cards the closer we get to the expiry of that contract.
I think it's possible to make an emotional deal, and you don't want to do that. I think it's also, or rather, an emotional decision. You don't want to make an emotional decision. I think it's also possible to make a completely soulless one. And this is that.
Why can't...
What are you doing?
That's exactly it. And by the way, $6-7 million a year, whatever Shandy's getting paid, for $3.5-4 million, whatever Treliving's getting paid, you're paid to be soulless.
This is the decision that an AI in NHL 24 would make. Well, this player puts up this amount of points this season, and he stays as good in the regular season as he does in the playoffs. Like, there's no meter for, this guy disappears in game 5, 6, and 7, like in the video games.
Oh, you're saying the AI would stick it out? Because,
the AI would stick it out
because they don't understand the context of what actually unfolds.
Yeah.
So there you go, MLSE.
Yeah.
There's how much does Brendan Shanahan make versus a Chat GPT subscription? Because you might as well just get that.
I'm looking.
Well, what do you need a president for?
I would also say,
What do you need it
Steve,
for?
to add to that, when people say, well, what are they going to get back? What if there was no good trade out there? Well, then that's their fault. That's their failure. You've got $10 to $11 million wrapped up in Shanny and Treliving alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I am a member of the MLSE board, I'd say, what do you mean? Then obviously you didn't work hard enough. They make as much together as Mitch Marner does. Are you telling me that doing nothing is okay?
Expectations go down, your phone bill goes up, and one day we'll all die.
Don't go there.
Hey, Jesse, should we do a little press conference?
We definitely can.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
My goodness, Steven.
And the sun will explode, killing anyone left.
We can officially announce our Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah.
My Stanley Cup Final that's going on, the NHL 24 universe that we play in, and myself and the Crab People tomorrow night. As I explained last week, if you've been following our streams, we are up 3-1 in the series against the Minnesota Wild in the Stanley Cup Final. So we're one win away from, you guys make fun of me for so long of not winning a Stanley Cup. This could be the moment that I do it. So
Jesse,
tomorrow...
this is a very important question. Is Joel Armia on the Wild in your video games?
No.
Okay. All right. You might have him. You might have him.
Armia is not on the Wild.
Might have him.
Blake Wheeler is. He's very old. It's 2026.
Oh my God. He's 42-year-old Blake Wheeler.
He's out there
Okay.
doing his thing. Anyway, so tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern on the SDPN YouTube channel, youtube.com/SDPN. Adam Wilde and Steve Dangle are going to join me. We are going to watch game number 5 of the series.
Yes.
That is correct. That's game number 5. Hopefully we do the thing there and we get to celebrate a Stanley Cup for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Do I have to wear a suit too?
If you guys want to be respectful.
Damn.
Yeah. I wear whenever it's a Stanley Cup final game that I'm streaming, I wear a suit because I'm the GM, and when you're showing up to the GM box, you got to be in a suit.
Yeah, but I'm like a guest.
You're a guest to
I'm a
my
guest.
box.
No, we're part of the front office.
Are we part of the front? No, we're not part of the front office.
Do I get a ring?
No.
Do you want to? I don't know if you get a ring.
No, we're
want a
guests.
ring.
We're guests of the GM. We're just buddies. We're like his high school buddies. Yeah, I brought Rick and Jeff from high school.
They
We used
want
to
to
get drunk
They want to
together.
see the cut. They want to be on the ice when the cup's handed out.
These are my boys. They've been with me since the beginning.
There were a few people in the photo when the Panthers won the Eastern Conference trophy, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I was like, who are you?
Yeah,
There was
family and
kids
friends
in there.
Yeah, so I'll be that.
Yeah, you get to
I'll
bring
be
out
Jesse's kid.
you get to bring out the family and friends. Yeah, you can act as my kids, but if you want to be respectful, at least put on a collared shirt. You know, you're not going to show up in what jeans.
Yeah, do we
Oh,
want
or a
to
suit.
do we
Jeans
want to
and a
embarrass our
wrestling
friend in
t-shirt?
front of his boss?
No.
Brendan Shanahan.
No. No.
I hope Shani it wasn't there still.
Oh, this is your friend who keeps saying I should have been fired years ago. Hello.
All right, so check that out tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/SDPN. It's
Let's
going to be
go.
a fun one. If you're waiting for the Stanley Cup, we have one coming for you tomorrow. Press conference questions here. Steve, what are you doing with Mitch Marner? Trading him?
Is that actually a question?
It's always a
Of
question.
course, it's a question. Of
Here,
course,
here,
it
wait.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Here's one from Alice Stellar. I wanted to know, do you think Jack Campbell's name will be on the cup, assuming the Oilers win? And if yes, should it be? Don't get me wrong, I want it there, but I just find it to be an interesting question.
I think it's a stellar question, Alex. You see? Her name's Alex.
Okay.
Mhm.
Stellar. Let me look. Jack Campbell.
I'll read the engraving on the cup rules.
Well, there's the rules, but also that man played 5 regular season games for the Edmonton Oilers.
That was it?
I didn't realize it was only that.
Oh
long.
my God.
5. He played 5. He
Holy
played
shit.
267 minutes. 5 games. He was 1-4 with an .873 save percentage. A reminder that Stuart Skinner's save percentage was actually worse at the time. He had a gosh darn good season in Bakersfield. Wow, what? No one told me about this. They only tweeted it when he was bad. In 33 games, he went 18-13-1 with a .918 save percentage. That is gosh darn good. And also, Bakersfield Condors will not win the Stanley Cup on account of they're ineligible. Campbell only playing 5 games. It will literally be out of the the kindness of their hearts if they put him on.
So
'Cause he meets 0 of the
He
criteria.
does not qualify. Here is the engraving eligibility from the NHL. A player is required to have appeared in at least 41 regular season games with a team or 1 Stanley Cup Final game
That's the only hope at this point.
to be eligible to have his name engraved on the trophy. In 1994, a stipulation was added to allow a team to petition the commissioner for permission to have players' names put on the Stanley Cup if extenuating circumstances prevented them from being available to play. The management staff engraved on the trophy is determined by the team. However, it must be approved by the Hockey Hall of Fame and NHL.
Wow.
The maximum number of names a championship team can engrave on the trophy is 55. So I'll ask it again now that we've established the criteria, now that we know how little Campbell actually played. Do the Oilers petition to have Campbell's name on the cup?
He
I don't think so.
didn't earn it.
I don't think so.
He didn't earn it. Like,
It's sad, but
you could. Oh, okay. You could make. No, because like it's not even like he went up and down.
Mm.
And I was gonna say like, well, it depends on like what was his relationship with like Stuart Skinner and then Calvin Pickard, and did he help them? And
it's sad. It's sad because I like Jack Campbell immensely, but there's no way.
The Oilers know the answer. And ultimately, if they feel like he deserves it, they'll give it to him. 55's a lot.
How many third string goalies get their name on the cup? Because if it's common where it's like, hey, yeah, we include our third string goalie and most teams do that, like maybe then he just gets it.
I have no
Because
idea.
he's not the backup, but he's third string. So if 2 goalie injuries happened, his name's on the cup or he's in a game, you know?
That's a lot of staff, too. Like your entire front office. Like, how many people do the Oilers have in the front office? How many people do they have in their coaching staff? Then there's your training staff. You're probably up in the 40s already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with just that. Then you get into, like, Like
Adam's just like, no, like we're reaching.
no, I know. Like I'm like Broberg, for example, doesn't meet the criteria. I don't think. I don't know
if he plays a game in the finals, though, he will.
But if he plays a game in the final, he will.
Right.
Like Simone Gagne with one of the Kings teams. And I mean, there's other examples. That's just the only one I can think of. Desharnais, I think, would meet the criteria, but I assume he'll get into a final game. There's probably like other AHL guys who meet the criteria. Campbell played 5 games and like they were, I want to say, exclusively in October.
Yeah, it must have been.
Like maybe at the very beginning of November.
No, then I think he got like one back. Remember, they tried him again and then it failed, right?
No, I don't think he was ever called back up.
I mean, like during that run, like maybe the game sneaked into November because.
Maybe,
but I'm not sure.
I don't know if he ever played a game for Chris Knobloch.
I don't think so. No.
Well,
yeah,
I love the guy. I have nothing against the guy, but like, I don't understand how you do it.
we're all a no.
He'll get to hoist the cup above his head. He's a black ace. You just won't get on the cup.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I hate this conversation, and because I love Jack Campbell so much.
Well,
and I hate how things have gone for him.
We tried to talk ourselves into it, and we kept going, well, evidence. Like, if there's a good reason, the Oilers know, and they'll put him on the cup.
Yeah.
Otherwise, not so much.
Yeah.
This is from Tech Support. A lot has been made about this stat. Tech Support writes, hey guys, at 4,828 kilometers between the two arenas, do you think fatigue will be a factor in this Stanley Cup final, even with the 2-day gap between games? So it's going to be the longest distance in terms of pure miles between two teams in the Stanley Cup final.
Don't give them any break. You should don't.
Tech Support continues, I'm thinking if this goes 5, 6, or even 7 games, that's a lot of miles on guys who have already gone 3 rounds.
Yeah, it'll be a factor. It'll be a factor.
Like, what's the shortest?
But like
there's not a very short Stanley Cup final.
I also this is the longest in history. Yeah, is it going to be a factor? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Longest in history, depending on who you ask. Mm-hmm. Like apparently driving distance, it's the longest, but like flight path, it's not necessarily.
Oh, for God's sake.
It's I think it's
who cares?
This was an argument in the CJ show chat last night, and an argument that I was not a part of.
Step out of that one. Man.
No, it was CJ and Drew going, well. Well,
I think the answer is yes, it does, but probably not something crazy. And I am actually glad that they put in some space markers in there because, yeah, you know what you want to see? I don't want to see guys John Klingberg. I want to see.
That's a thing.
I want to see two teams who are as healthy as possible crush each other. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see, my hip seized up on the plane and I can't make game 3.
Mm-hmm. It's 100% your hips, and I feel uniquely qualified to talk about this. But yeah, like
because those hips don't lie.
They told many lies for a long time.
Okay.
Actually, no, they told truths, and it was ow, I hurt.
Okay. And you ignored them.
Yeah, and now they're much better, but I don't have to play a full NHL schedule. Sitting is the new smoking, is what I've been told by many a fitness professional. Mm-hmm. And I think smoking is smoking, but sitting is also bad. Okay. Why not just say sitting is also bad? You lock up on those flights. And I think that's exactly what happened to Klingberg. I think it was one of those situations where he could keep playing if everything went his way. And then it's like, hey, you played a pretty good game against Vancouver Canucks. Guess what? 6, 7, 8 hour flight ahead of you, going across the Atlantic. This series, as it always is in the Stanley Cup Final, is going to be extremely hard on guys who are playing through it.
Yep.
Core injuries, hip injuries. Oh boy, that's not going to be fun.
All right. Last question.
Shout out Ryan Clark, ESPN writer, who had the full list of the longest distance Stanley Cup finals.
Send it to Drew.
Vancouver, Boston was the previous record at 4,023 kilometers. So this one just beats that. Montreal, LA, LA, New York, New Jersey, LA, New York, Vancouver, New York, Vancouver, New Jersey, Anaheim, Anaheim, Ottawa, Victoria, Montreal in 1924-25.
Okay, legitimate question. Did they take the train?
I would think so, right?
I think they probably did. Or they just played it all in one spot. But,
I don't.
When are like commercial flights readily available?
I mean, they would have been available, but not many. And it would have had to be, you would have puddle jumped, right? You would have gone from city to city to city to city.
These guys played for like team stockings.
Yeah.
Like,
and they would not have been comfortable flights either. Those early passenger liners were not comfortable.
No, like
they were like military craft.
1924, 1925, going back and forth from Victoria to Montreal. Like, that's not easy.
Yeah.
like if you're down 2-0 in the series, just forfeit. Like just to, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, you're going across Canada on a coal train.
Like, no.
A steam engine.
No. Last week on our VIP episode, we talked about the leaks of the City Connect jerseys. Now that they have been officially played in, do you guys have different opinions on the City Connect jerseys for the Toronto Blue Jays?
Yes, and I think it's a conspiracy theory that I have. I think teams are going to start doing this more and more, where they take a leaked photo of their jerseys on a potato, and they post it to the world, and everyone goes, well, this looks like shit. And then you take a photo that actually looks good with like red Under Armour, and you put it on Jose Bautista.
That's what I said last week. You have a conspiracy theory?
Yeah, I have a conspiracy theory.
I said that, and Jesse said, no, that's crazy.
So I have a conspiracy
and
theory.
so did you.
And yeah,
I said that.
Can you not interrupt my conspiracy theory? So then they release it, and everyone thinks it's really good.
Yeah.
And I want one a little bit.
I'll be honest. I just, they're fine.
They're fine.
I feel like I was the only one who was like, my opinion on this didn't really change. I don't think the jerseys are that good. They're like, okay.
They're okay.
They're not like, I feel like just as how I thought they were is how I still feel as bad.
Well, they are like what I say about a lot of NHL jerseys. It's like, okay, is it a good jersey, or is the color black just cool?
It's not black. They made an emphasis to say that.
What
it's
is
like
it?
I forgot the actual color, but it's like a deep navy thing.
Shut up.
See, this is how you can tell the Jays are difficult. That's a very Ross Atkins answer. It's not actually black. It's blah, 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 corporate, blah, 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 blah. Don't worry, that we're going to start winning, blah, 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 blah. We can hit.
They're okay. Like, they're nothing special.
They're fine. They're fine.
What if
I don't get excited? I don't want one.
What if all the Toronto teams just went under one banner
Maddie's shaking her head hard.
called the Don't Worries?
Maddie, you like him? No, I know.
Oh, no.
It was cool seeing Bautista take some batting practice, though. I like
That is
that.
some corporate BS. Those are black jerseys. Like you're gonna take photos with them and tell me that's not black?
Boo.
I gotta look up the you know how they always release like the 20-page thing about how we built these jerseys and the explanations behind the fonts.
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
I gotta read that for you guys.
TLDR.
Like, oh, this means so much. No, it doesn't. Stop.
Not
Stop
reading
with the
all
City
that.
Connect jerseys.
No.
The best Blue Jays alternate jersey is the powder blue from the early 80s. Powder blue, early 80s. Everything else sucks.
Some
Boo.
Robbie
Hiss.
Alomar.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Give me Dave Winfield.
Yeah.
Give me Tony Fernandez.
Pat Henkin.
That's Dave Steve. Pat Hankin a little bit later, but yeah.
A little bit later.
All right. Are we one
We're
more
all
question?
done.
Are we good? Are we done? Okay.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind. There will be no streams this week other than Tuesday. Steve's looking at his phone.
I didn't mean to have that happen.
Already looking at his phone. We haven't even done the ads yet. It's crazy.
I put my phone down and it started playing anyway. I'm sorry.
Steve's been checking his phone.
No.
Yeah.
No.
He's been checking it. He's
No.
been checking it. Let's hit
What were
the-
you trying to say, Adam?
I was
Who
saying that
cares?
there was only one stream this week until Saturday, and it is Jesse Tuesday night on the SDPN YouTube channel. He is going to hit you with a potential Stanley Cup win or an earth-shattering loss. Either way, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. Imagine Jesse,
earth-shattering
who's up 3-1.
Oh, no.
Oh man, could be fun.
Oh,
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.